What's up, y'all? Let me clear my voice. Make it. I'm gonna do something a little different here. Let me turn it down a bit. Turn it down a bit. Make sure you hear my voice. All right. Hey. All right. Let's get into. Let me get into the group of things. First of all, let me just start by saying thank y'all for being patient with me. For those tuning in and checking me out. Y'all know how I've been. I've been super busy, but I think the last few weeks, I owe it to y'all to explain exactly what's been going on with me. Nothing too bad. I don't want y'all to be alarmed, but I just think that I need to address some things now. Y'all know that I, do a lot of things. I get into my auditions. I, do jobs here and there. Doing my writing. Uh, actually been getting the groove of it, but having some hangups. But I need to start whenever I need to get something out. Uh, the I don't know if y'all can tell from. I know it's like a white wall. Y'all can tell right now, but everything is just white. I moved. I moved. Yes, I moved to a nice place. Had to. I wouldn't say I. People like to say downgraded when you go from house to apartment, but I don't think so. I don't think I did. I don't need for those that know me, like I'm very minimal, so I don't really need a lot of stuff. Like I don't even like for the last like few years my majority of wardrobe that I usually wear are like white tees and sweatpants, so I don't really need too much stuff. Um Even with jobs I don't really care too much about a high paying job, but if I get it, you know, I'm grateful for that. That happened and um I think the last few weeks I kind of needed to do a reset, and I'll talk about more of this. I just had like a reset on just myself. Had to, do a double check on myself, do a double take. Just life in general. I'm not like, getting all moody and all that, but just need to do like a self help on myself. You need to do a double take, taking like I pretty much took like a wellness check on myself, which I think most people need sometimes. Um, I saw a couple of movies, to pass the time, but one stuck out on me, and y'all can check this out. I saw The Iron Claw actually. For those who are familiar with that, y'all know what I'm talking about. But if y'all are not, bear with me, and I'll let you know about any spoilers. But you'll probably check them out. But anyway, Iron Claw was basically the story of the Von Erich wrestling family. How they emerged from being like one. They're like one of the greatest dynasties in that sport of wrestling. Period. Like they're like up there. Like they're almost like a. Even though most people get hung up when you say like gods are like just these amazing beings, like they were just like they seem like the perfect family, basically. But and this is where spoiler alerts, or you can pretty much do the information yourself. Basically, one tragedy led to another. They said it was like a curse. They said XYZ. Things happened to the brothers where they, let's just say they decided that they didn't feel like they were worthy of living. I'll say that just for, this platform's purposes. They felt like they didn't belong. And watching the movie and I also watched like some documentaries on it. Um, I kind of did like a case study on the father, Jack Atkinson Sr., also known as Fritz von Erich. and how the origin of his name came from, and how he became this kind of like this dictator type father figure where he wasn't like a dad to the kids. It almost seemed like he was their kid's boss, and like everything was all about seeking their approval, and they had to climb up the ranks to meet his standards because, typical, father didn't get to live his dreams, so they push it on their kids, and then tries to play mind games and manipulation tactics on the kids, and what he thought was pushing them hard and being tough on them actually, kind of. I mean, don't get me wrong. If you looking at the documentary, even watching the movie, you would think the dad did a really good job. He did an amazing job. I mean, they didn't seem like jailbirds. Seemed like they had respect for you know just adults, all that. They're down to earth almost, but I don't know, just something about that household or whatever that curse is kind of plagued them in a way to where became it became to where they didn't feel comfortable being open to anybody because it would be like a sign of weakness growing up with that you know domineering presence of their father. uh, I remember watching that, and I saw the documentary, and it kind of sat like the last few days. It kind of sat with me a bit. It made me think about how you know, especially like I would say, I mean, the brothers. I'm guessing they were Gen X, depending on what their age was. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. I think few of the brothers were like. Actually, I might be wrong. I think like half of them. Some of them were Boomer generation. Some were like Gen X along the way. But either way, I think with the generations and all that in the play, it made me think about how just the whole concept of what it means to be a man, and can a man be vulnerable? Can a man still be a man even if they open up their feelings and have that moment of letting everything out? Now, when I say letting, I don't mean just crying about every little thing, whining and complaining about every little thing that happens. I'm not talking about that, but I mean that part in you that just never was taken care of, that wasn't healed, and that you can just pour out when you can, and you don't have to feel weak. But that's crazy that that movie came out, and even stories like that is coming out, especially in the time where you have those moments where every generation wants to say this generation is softer, which I can't blame them. But there's also you know the same people that it's like just because they blame how they raised their kids because it's like the constant hot potato. Oh, my parents did this and said this to me, so you should have no. But it doesn't do anything. Okay, cool. You went through that. Great. Awesome. What does it have to do with how you're treating your child or how you're treating your kids? You're not doing them any justice. You're just thinking that that's how the world operates. And I think with my generation, the younger millennials, even some Gen Z, are kind of breaking the mold. Well, some I would say are breaking the mold because I'm seeing a lot of people come out saying how they grew up with this type of parent XYZ that did this, and how they're doing the total opposite of what their parents did. They don't want to live in a household with how they grew up. Doesn't have to apply to everybody, but between those two generations, depending on the age factors, y'all know what I'm talking about. I think that it's starting to be a shift. People are taking mental health seriously now. You know, and I think it's worse when it comes to men. Nobody, I know, feminists are gonna get at me, but nobody in this country cares about a man's mental health. Not even the so-called feminists even care about a man's mental health. I mean, men are 4 times more likely to kill themselves more than women. I mean, that's not something people should be worried about, but because of how we were programmed to think how men should be, that ruined a lot. It ruined a lot of, like, as far as like the development of men. Certain men think that they have to be over the top with their masculinity to prove a point, to think that they can, you know, be considered manly. And I've struggled with that too. I'll now y'all hear me say this all the time. I'm a middle child. Um, I did play sports to some degree, but I never really was quote unquote sporty. Like, I'm a pretty like good sized person. I mean, for right now, but I never really was into guy type stuff per se. Like everybody was doing. Like, I like to draw sometimes. Sometimes I listen to music. I mean, I was dabbling in drama. I used to do all these things. Even like the type of clothes I would wear wouldn't be considered manly. I wouldn't say I would wear like a dress or like put on makeup, but like some of the clothing choices I would put on, even my own dad would try to make me seem, less of a man because of it. Because how he grew up, he thought that wasn't how men dress. He wanted me. I'll paint a picture for those that know men that dress like this. My dad's what, mid 70s, so that means he was grew up in the 80s, became a teenager in around the 90s, was an adult 2000s, blah blah blah. And his era, a lot of people was wearing a lot of fitted caps. They had to have like some sort of Air Forces or some type of Jordan, some type of jersey, and just baggy type pants. Now y'all telling me that y'all don't have like an uncle or a dad or a grandfather that dress like that, or just a real older cousin that's like in that age range that dress like. That's how my dad wanted me to pretty much be. But some parents don't understand that their children have to have an identity. But because we're going back to Von Erichs, because they're, what they thought, I'll say what they thought was supposed to be their dream that was destroyed. They think that their children owe something to him because he didn't. If y'all get what I'm trying to say, like they think that he believes that the children should owe him something because they put him into the lineup. But it's really like maybe they like doing it because they were together. But if they had it their way, I'm pretty sure they wouldn't even dabble in it. I know one of the sons was like a musical person. I don't even think he was really into wrestling. I think he was like kind of forced to. And like I said, you look up the story. It's a sad, but it's like a cautionary tale. Like a lot of people call it, like, they say it's like a Greek tragedy and some sort of very like Shakespearean type stuff. But it really is kind of, how do you think about it? Like, these guys could have been like, I mean, they had like a Hollywood aura in a sense. I like, especially like who's a tall one? Who's a tall one? David. It was David. Yeah, David. He could have, man. He has such a good personality. He could have did anything he would have wanted to. I mean, he could have did the movies. He could have been in commercials. Well, he was in commercials, but he could have did radio. He could have. I mean, he was very mercurial of a person, and I mean, same with the rest of Brothers Cabin. They all had different personalities that were just strong, but it's just the inner demons that, well, the ones, but it seemed like they were pushing themselves too hard for approval of their dad. And I think at times as men, um, we never have a chance to really voice our opinion and be vulnerable like that because we're afraid of being looked at as cowardly and weak. Like even the whole toxic masculinity thing, I never did understand. I haven't been on my. It's a different episode. It's not. I'm not making it somber, but just like a message. Trust me, I got out the last few week and a half. I was just like having a moment to myself where I was just. I hope it didn't cover that thing. Did it cover that thing? Anyway, but yeah. So let's look at that. So they say toxic masculinity, the made up terms, is a term that refers to the negative aspects of exaggerated hypermasculine traits and behaviors. Includes dominance, violent and aggressive behavior, extreme competitiveness, suppressing emotions, emotional illiteracy, sexual entitlement, hostility to femininity, being unemotional, power hungry, and narcissistic. This is why I have a problem. I know this is going to sound funny. I know everything to some degree is made up. Everything to some degree is made up. Thought I lost connection for a second. Everything to some degree is made up. This is what I don't get about this. About the traits that women say they don't like in men. Those are the traits that you see first that y'all get attracted to. You don't like a man that's, you know, just submissive because you think he's weak, or you don't like a man that's too nice. But the stuff that y'all call toxic, y'all like. Never made any sense to me. And I think that's where I can relate because growing up, it's like I think it's probably one of the biggest tricks of the books when it comes to being a man. It's like the fact that and this is just take it with a grain of salt when I say this, that you have to be nice to a woman. I'm not saying don't be respectful and don't be courteous. Don't, I mean, like, just straight up be just a sucker for anything. You don't get, she could do anything to you and you just don't do anything about it. I had to learn the hard way because that's what I thought it was. I thought, you had to do that in order for, but it's not the case because from what I've learned, and this is where it doesn't make any sense, certain women think that if a guy's too nice, they're usually pushovers. And in stronger cases, they think, and this is the one I like. Some women think that if they're too nice, they don't get no play. But they complain that, men cheat all the time. Never make any sense. It's like it's off topic, but it's not really off topic. But it just proves a point to where it's because like you hear certain these feminists be like, men do this, men, but it's like you're becoming the men that you hate by your actions. The stuff that you say you don't like in men, you're emulating, and the men that you know exhibit those qualities are probably doing that just to put on a mask because they don't want to. They're afraid they might show their real side because of how society treats them. And then And I think that's what happens with us in a society, and we're afraid to be vulnerable. We're afraid to show that side. But here's a term nobody ever talks about, though. People always talk about misogyny, and people, they throw words like narcissistic and all that, but nobody talks about misandry. And what is that? Misandry is dislike of, contempt for, or ingrained prejudice against men, i.e., the male sex. The stuff that a lot of these feminists say is like 10 times worse compared to what they accuse men of saying or doing. Everybody loves spewing words like misogynist and narcissistic, not even knowing what these words means, and they don't even know that they're being misandrous, which is exactly what the word. They don't need them. They're not worth anything. They don't provide. They don't do anything. They're not worth. Like I mean, I serious. I get it's like all a plan. Everything is like pre-planned and all that, but some stuff where it's like you got to use your own brain. You can't let social media and all these people dictate your, opinions, which is scary because a lot of people, be on their phone so much. It's like they don't even have their own. They're letting their whatever they watch and listen to dictate their own thoughts. It's not even their thoughts. They're letting them tell their own thoughts, but it's okay, you know. And this is another off topic, but still on topic. This scenario, how you know when a man gets played by a woman, right? Like with the Rock Kardashian, I'll go flashback. Rock Kardashian, Black China, how he got played by it, right? Everybody made fun of him. Everybody clowned him. Everybody did that. They were like, "You supposed to know better. You knew Black China was a hoe. You knew this and that." All that. Everybody says the same thing about if a man gets played by a woman that you're supposed to know better, right? This is when it gets left field. Hear me out. Certain women, when they go to a club, half naked, sloppy drunk, around strangers, some that probably have ill intentions to begin with, they know that there's a case that they're around, and yet something happens to them where they get SA'd. Y'all figured out what that means. Then all of a sudden, everybody plays the victim. Everybody shows support, but it's like you're a grown adult getting intoxicated around strangers, people that you don't know, and you're surprised something bad happens to you. If I go outside and I have gold change, everything, and my wallet's sticking out, and I leave my car door open, and then if I get robbed, they're not gonna say, "Oh, we feel bad for it." They're gonna be like, "Man, you stupid as hell. Why you had your wallet sticking out your ass? Why you got your damn car door open and for everybody to see?" They're gonna let me know. And I think when it comes to men and emotions, they give. I think they give women a pass for having meltdowns and having breakdowns and being able to, even if they're faking it, they still, give them a chance to let everything out. They could be just dry face, no tears. Doesn't matter. Still let them do it. Still let them do it. Whereas a man, if they breaking down or they have a crisis or like they just snap, they quick to throw medication, they quick to, you know, arrest them or quick to out them out as crazy. But is there ever a safe space for mental health for men in this country? Is there ever a safe space? I think with our generation, I think we're learning how to make that safe space. I think we're learning how to do that. I think we're learning how to make the shift and how to do that. And oh yeah, just to end it out on a funny note, uh, watching Old Dads with Bill Burr, pretty much uh, like the polar opposite to where it shows like the lighter side of like men having to deal with the new world that they're in, being a dad later on in life. But the fact that even though you can't stand the generation evolving to some aspect, you can still be you, but at the same time, you can still, you know, not have to be that old, bitter person that just hates everything. And I like that they touched on that. And you can still at the same time be tough and vulnerable at the same time, which I think is nice. I think it's nice that that was discussed. But yeah, that's all. I don't want to sound too somber. I know y'all was thinking like, oh, was he gonna? I was gonna talk about some stuff, but let me. I was like so busy. I was moving. I was doing auditions. You know, life stuff. I still work stuff, but I just didn't have the time or the patience to get into too much stuff. I just wanted to like actually have like a true, true conversation and just dabble in that. And I didn't want to get too mushy, but just a little something I want to talk about. 'Cause I think it's important. It's important to talk about mental health. Nobody really gets into that. People are too afraid to talk about it because they think they're outed as, like I said, weak, vulnerable, soft, all this stuff. But it's not. It shouldn't be fair. It shouldn't be fair that one on one side, men go through all this stuff. It's like men have to suffer in silence, but that's considered normal. But certain, just being honest, certain women have to lie about what they have going on, and it's like everybody gives them a pat on the back just for just existing. Because men have a lot of things that they go through, but they don't want to talk about. Because, like I said, man and woman could use whatever they give them to their advantage. They can play with their emotions, but you know, it's just something I wanted to just tap in. But I appreciate y'all, for sticking with me. Don't mean to keep y'all too long, but just want to say something from the heart, not be too over the top with it. But thank y'all for tuning in. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see y'all in the next one. I'm out.